Hey guys, it's me, the Uni-lobster, and today I'm going to be doing somewhat of a different video from what I thought I would be doing, but pretty much I'm going to be doing a bit of a D&D series on here. Now, to, I'm at a bit of a loss because it's kind of late and I just got done doing some stuff, but pretty much I'm going to be catching you guys, the viewers, like, I don't know, maybe like the 20 of you who watch this. Maybe it's 17, I don't know, it's been getting pretty low, but pretty much I'm going to be catching you guys up on the current point in which my players or adventurers are at their low D&D story, and after this, I'll start like recording the sessions. We're like all at the same pace pretty much. So this video, none of them are on because they're asleep, it's late. I'm just going to be explaining what they've done in the story, maybe some tad bits. I won't explain too much or go into too much detail of what's happening because they can just easily watch this video and just metagame. But I mean, so I'm just gonna start off catching you guys up. As you can tell, there's music. I thought I'd set some nice atmosphere in the background so it's not just me staring at an image talking about D&D. I might, no. So let me just close this. And let me just crack open this. So this, as you can tell, one is a thumbnail, and two is, the little group of party. We got me and the helmet being the DM, because I'm the DM, and then we got a different assortment of parties. Now, yes, I know this is MS Paint, and it's horrible. However, I did this, or I don't know how tired I was, so let me just explain to you like the different party members and like some of their backstories, if I can even remember what some of their backstories are, because oh me, I didn't write notes. So this character, completely forgot their name. Sorry to the person who plays this character, but they're pretty much a mage of sorts, and they're just the average wizard. They come from a They didn't tell me any of their backstory, I'm realizing. Yeah, I'm just now realizing. The mage didn't tell me any of their backstory. Alright, then we're skipping the wizard. This person on the ground also forgot their name, but pretty much they're like sort of like a isekai character of sorts, They're let's see. His character sheet, he wrote some pretty good stats. Like, I think he has like a multiple 18s, but like he's super weak in strength. So we kind of had the joke because he's an isekai character because he's just strong in every way, except he's probably not strong. So we kind of just worked it into his lore that he's an isekai character. So pretty much his lore, he was going to go get his new favorite manga, got hit by the old dominant white truck of death. And then you just awoke in sort of the area. I'll explain more on that later, seeing as I pretty much used him as the focal point, starting point. This is another character. I'm now realizing I know none of their names. I'm a bad DM. Yikers. But this guy, he's a goblin, okay? You can tell because he's green. And you could probably tell some other stuff by looking at the symbol on his back. Okay, he's a wild one, alright? So, pretty much, his character, it exists as a bit of like an ally they gained through an adventure. Because, like, he joined, just not immediately. Because, like, the main party was, like, already doing stuff, and then he decided to join. I worked it in as they found him in a cave. Again, I'll explain more when I actually start explaining this. This is a character I also remember the name of this person, but that's because I made him. He's an NPC, but this person is the only person I remember the name of because I keep on calling their character a polygon, and they keep on telling me not to do that. So yeah, no, this character is sort of a knight. They've lived in this poor country forever, and they've realized that through a bunch of economic defeats and turmoils that they need to bring strength. Yeah, not like Mustache Man, no. But pretty much that's the overall gist. They're a bit of a kind of like a more militarist person. Yeah, X means a knight, and the overall character's pretty like, they're decently new to like being a D&D person. So like, and then this little thing right here's something of my own creation. While I'm not a player, because, you know, DM players are kind of hard to do, it's more of an NPC that the party has brought along with them. His name is Grung, his species is Grung, he speaks in very broken, common, or English. Grung talk like this, very much do like. Some of those sorts of that. They like him, but they also hate him because his voice is absolutely atrocious. And another thing, he's not even reliable. He's a wild magic sorcerer, and it's just overall great. I forgot to name the classes. We got a wizard here. We got I think he's a warlock? Yeah, he's a warlock. We got an artificer, and then we got just a standard fighter. Because, you know, human. Let's see, we got, I'm pretty sure human, water genasi, goblin, human, human, and Grung. Because Grung is Grung, and Grung like cool. So yeah, Grung's just sticking along with them because, you know, they pretty much just found him. So now we'll begin basic story. So, the story, ooh, that's the wrong image, that's just me. So, this is the map. Well, this isn't the complete map, because, like, yeah, because, I would select all the maps and names, except, you know, I don't want my players, you know, looking at the map with their grubby little eyes staring at stuff. Oh, hold on, wait, let me just, quickly pause the recording. I need to, like, yeah, I need to go refill my tea. Alright, guys, I'm back, and I'm pretty sure I left off when I was talking about the map and their grubby little eyeballs. I'll probably put a transition in there, but yeah, now I got tea, so let's continue. So they start off in like this little small area down here. Yeah, no, this little area is pretty much like ran by a bunch of like tribal areas. Pretty much, you know, like a conglomeracy or a confederation of different like small tribal lands, like you know, goblin tribes, human settlements. Yeah, it's just a small conglomeration of like mainly trade-ish states, but they just formed a conglomeracy because, you know, of these outside threats. Now, this is where Polygon is, and that's the reason why they're like so, I guess, bloodlust. I'm trying to make sure that that character doesn't become murder hobo, because murder hobos are stupid. But like, yes. So as you can see, we got a bunch of other things, and again, I would show names and like the complete map, because, like, you know, this is not the complete map, but I'm trying to keep you guys with as much knowledge as the players. So yeah, so, you know, this is potentially, you know, got a nice river. They're like in a tiny town right around here. I don't have the image pulled up, but yeah, they're like right around here, and, you know, they're like decently close to other cities. So we're just gonna click back open to this, and now I'm gonna start at the beginning, because that's where stories begin. The beginning. So, like I said, the warlock here, I used him as like the focal point. You know, I was the first person I like described how it went. So his character just figured out like a new like chapter of like his favorite manga series came out, and he was rushing to the thing, and he got it, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty good manga. Couldn't wait to get home. Reading it on his way, crosses the street, you know, as you do, looks to his right, bam, white box truck. You all, like, anyone who's seen any isekai knows exactly which box truck we're talking about, you know, the white one. You know, he's out of it, he's gonzo, bam, dead. So, and he's like, ah, darn. Man, how am I still alive? Realizes he's not anywhere in his town. In fact, he's more of like a bit of a rustic setting, you know. I say like the classic medieval. He stands up, scratches his head, he got his phone and his manga on him. At least he got that. Hooray. So far he hasn't even touched it in the session. So, and he sees in front of him the old classic time to get the party together trick that DMs use is a tavern, or to the right he sees a large crowd of humanoids, kind of like just kind of gathered around. He can't see what they're staring at, but he can see they're gathered around and they're going ooh ah every so and so. So when I'm like, oh, you could go to the tavern. He's like, no, I wish to go to the crowd of people. And yeah, so no classic tavern meetup for this ODM. So after like trying to move through the group of humanoids, like he kind of bumps into people and he manages to get to the front of the crowd and see what they're staring at. There's just like little guy in a top hat and he's like looking at a sheep and he waves a little wand at the sheep and the sheep just does a backflip. Now every time the sheep does a backflip and hit the ground, the entire crowd goes ooh ah. And this player's like overly like enjoying it. He's like, wow, this is a pretty cool sheep. It's doing backflips and stuff. And then he looks across from the crowd and he sees two like figures that just don't seem to match. And the two figures is this tiny frog thing. You know, this person kind of sitting there wide eyes staring at the thing going, wow, grung like sheep. Sheep do cool trick. Grung like cool tricks. Grung like sheep. Of course, not that voice. I missed. Darn. And then a polygon sitting there, in a long chair. You know, like head resting on hand, fucking foot tapping. You know, overly annoyed at the situation, like being forced to watch this. All right. And so, this character decides to like, that doesn't seem right. Well, let me go start some conversation because, you know, plot convenience and getting the party together. So he walks over. So what's up your mood? I've been forced to watch this stupid show. It's not stupid. It is. In fact, it's so stupid. And a polygon proceeds to stand up, goes over to the sheep, and just stabs it. Like, for no reason in particular, gets up, unsheaths longsword, and just beats the absolute heck out of the sheep. I'm like, what? Why would you do this? It was doing backflips and stuff. And it's like, I'm getting annoyed at this peaceful charade. And like, it was in character because like it's more of like a serious character. And I was like, it's understandable. Hopefully this doesn't devolve into murder hobo. So far it hasn't. And you know, people were staring at this sheep. It's now dead on the floor, cut in half. I gave him the XP because sheeps have an XP table. So, yeah. So all of the humanoids run away, except for the frog, a polygon, and the warlock. And then this other figure, the wizard. They see the wizard just standing there holding onto his staff. They're just staring at each other from like across like this like muddied mud area, I guess. And they're just staring at each other awkwardly. The wizard, trying to like break the silence, randomly casts a spell. Like, cause they're like, spell, because you know, like, I don't know what was going through their head or exactly what they said. All I know is that they just casted a spell for no reason. They rolled super low, and they just see this firebolt just go ring out and just absolutely, no, they just see a firebolt disappear, and then a second later they hear, like, you know, like a bunch of stuff catching on fire and then just screaming, and they're like, they stare at each other. They all get up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. They go over to look, and there's just a cart on fire, and this like red townsfolk just kind of going, no, no, bad, fire, no. And the party, kind of feeling bad that they just set this man's cart on fire, is like, ooh, what should we do? And the warlock, he's a water genasi, so he has a brilliant idea of trying to like use his water powers to put him out, or like to put it out. So after like a couple failed attempts of like splashing some water on it, a polygon just shows up. This is getting tiresome. Picks up the warlock and just straight up throws the warlock onto the cart, putting it out. And like I wrote, you know, it was pretty funny at the time, cause you know it's a water genasi and stuff. So I was like, might as well. It does sound indeed quite funny. So, hold on, let me just... Sorry about that, I just almost dropped my tea. Wrong image again. Alright. So, let's see. Yes, I left off on, Polygon grabbing the Warlock by the collar and just throwing him onto the cart. And while that puts it out, the Warlock's like, wait, how could you actually just throw me? It's like, I needed this cart out. Anyway, townsfolk, what's the deal with you? My cart. He sits there. Yeah, the cart's broken. So why did you use this cart? But I needed to give this cart. The townsfolk begins to speak. I needed to give this to the Goblin tribe up in the cave for the. I'm forgetting. Well, I'm not forgetting. I'm just like getting lost for words because I'm speaking faster than I can think. So pretty much this little townsfolk, he had to deal with some goblins that the goblins wouldn't come and absolutely pillage and take his family and farm in exchange for some wheat and hay and stuff. And let me just take off my earbud. Alright, so, and he had that exchange, and he was going to turn in the items that, the goblins wanted, until they were just, set on fire and destroyed. And he's like, do you guys know where the fireball come from? They all look at the wizard, and then they all just shrug, and there's like, no, we have no clues. And the whole shenanigans. And then they realize, wait, goblins. They look around at each other, and they're like, huh, we seem to be a bit of a party. We seem to be a bit of a party. We can help with these goblins. They're talking to themselves, thinking, yeah, we can take on some stupid old goblins. We got this. We seem to be strong enough. They have their characters never known each other except for Grung and a Polygon. They've never known each other, and they're just kind of talking. So, because they all kind of feel bad for this farmer dude. So they're like, yeah, we'll help him. So they get on the path. The farmer dude's telling them, yeah, they've already taken some of my daughters, and it's just bad. They're throwing to take my farm, and I put all my heart into this. And they're like, yeah, man, yeah, we gotta help this guy. So they get to the cave, and they're like, huh, so we didn't actually think about how to do this. So they slowly enter the cave, and then it cuts to the goblin's turn. So this goblin, or the player, his lore was, he's a goblin. Duh, he's in the goblin cave, he's a goblin, he's green, yada. But he's being bullied by the other goblins because he's not a goblin enough. No, he's not no half goblin race. No, he just doesn't act like a goblin. He's decently smart, he respects other races, he's not an overlaw, he's just not mean. So he's just sitting there tinkering with magic rocks. He's been bullied, he's the quiet goblin in the cave. So all the goblins come up and they just start picking on him, hey, look at you, you're all stupid and stuff, you don't do goblin things. And the party, while slowly approaching, just hears echoing throughout the cave, man, look at this guy, he respects women and stuff. And the wizard, being a female, well, at least the character's a female, also because for some reason the character, for some reason the wizard knows Goblin. I don't know why they picked to know Goblin, but they do. So for some reason they add to the conversation, also yelling at this person, yeah, imagine respecting women, even though the character is a female. I'm like, what? Why'd you do this? So anyway, as soon as this person speaks up, because they thought it would be funny, the entire cave, the entire goblin cave goes, female, and they're goblins. They go into full battle mode, and wait, my laptop came unplugged. Where's my charger? There it is. Oh, let me just plug my laptop back in, and we can continue. And this goblin's like, oh, they're scattering about. I would help, However, they've been bullying me. So, he's just kind of sitting there getting his rocks together because, since it's an adventuring party, he's just a stupid goblin. He's like, I probably need to leave. And then he just sees, like, just this goblin get tossed because, a couple goblins went up to the party and they just started getting their, like, rear ends handed to them because, it's an adventuring party and they're just beating goblins. Like, some goblins ran away, some goblins went to fight, and, eventually this goblin, or the player goblin, decided, you know what? This is the last straw. I'm going to show these goblins who've been bullying me for the last time. Reaches into his backpack. The goblin next to him was like staring at him. He's like, wait, what are you doing? And then gets out a sling and a couple of rocks and just starts like slinging up the goblin cave. And some funky jazz like that. Well, the rest of the party gets up and just sees this goblin just throwing rocks at other goblins. They're like, what's the deal with you? And he's just like, I've been bullied. Like, for some reason in a Scottish accent, because, Scottish for some reason. And they're just like, so, you're not an enemy? I guess not. And then, bam, the party's back together, or the party's together. Wow, look at that, plot convenience, because I'm too lazy to write in any other good details. So, they continue along the cave, clearing it out, and they're presented with three options. They can either leave the cave and literally get nothing, or they can go to a left passage or to a right passage. And, the goblin, being here, decides, you know what, let's go down the left passage. And the other party, like, doesn't know what's down there, but as they're walking, they see a couple of, like, small little rooms, like, scared voices from inside. And the wizard summons in a familiar, and they use it to scout. Well, they see from the scouting that the rooms they're entering are like small little like goblin schools, like they got like little stone desks, there's like a teacher. And then they realize what the quiet goblin was doing. They're now going to do a goblin school slinging. Of course, because yeah, no, they go commit with it. They crawl inside the rooms and they start beating the little goblin kids to death. Like, there's this one goblin teacher decided to like try and stand up to to protect the tiny goblin children. He got a scimitar, went to swing, got a natural one, literally cut one of the ones in half. And then they just proceeded to beat them all to death. And then they went to the next room. Grung, the little wild magic sorcerer, like he's just a dumb frog. I mean, kind of looks like an actual Grung would look in D&D, but like I just drew him as that because it's MS Paint and I'm bad. And so he goes in. He tries to help out the party because Grung's overly a nice guy. He tries to do his best to help, even though like they're literally killing people. He just is just doing his best to help his friend does, because Grung like cool people. You people do cool things. Grung like cool. Grung like you. Things like that. So he goes in, and tries to cast just like a simple spell. I forgot exactly what spell he tried to cast, but since he's a wild magic sorcerer, wild magic sorcerers have a chance of just not doing what they wish. And Grung tried to cast whatever spell, and instead of casting that spell, he spawned in a bunch of floops, I think they're called, which is, pretty much just pancake monsters. And the entire party got sidetracked at killing those things because, ooh, these things, where do they come from? We're going to kill them now. So, like, that exists. And the wizard, I forgot to mention, just has the most broken strategy where they can just snipe. Like, I'm pretty sure, they can just get a spell and it has, over 600 feet of range due to different modifiers. I'm like, okie dokie then. Mid-max or much? Most definitely. But I let it play because it's kind of funny to just be a full football field away and just go. So they're just chilling way far behind, using a familiar as a scope and just absolutely sniping these goblins with. And hold on, let me just, one of my parents just came in, like, asked me if I, wanted something to eat. I said no, I already fixed them. So anyway, let's see. Oh yeah. So the wizard is sitting there, like kind of like a decent bit away in the cave, just kind of like supporting the team across the fire. They can't hear the team, so they're just like using the familiar to like see stuff, right? And then they're just overly sitting there. And then the wizard's like, man, this is too easy. I knew this wizard was a good character to play. And then I just said some fateful words. Hey, can you quickly a perception check? And they just like, what is that supposed to mean? I don't know, just a perception check. And they're like, does it? I forgot the exact number, so we're just gonna say 15. Does a 15 work? I'm like, all right. You feel breathing down your neck, and they just, like, their character, like, just whips around and just sees, like, this giant hobgoblin just, like, wearing full armor, just, like, standing behind them. And them being a wizard by themselves are just like, wait, why do I have this open? Are just like, me dead. And they just screamed out as loud as possible, help, wizard scared, or, like, something along those lines. Grung, being the up and atom person they are, like, the wizard, I think I remember exactly, was like, probably, they were probably like not too far, I think they were like at 80 feet most. And, once I realized that they were at 80 feet, Grung I decided to show them the full powers of what Grung can do. Well, not full powers, because, like, lore reasons, and me trying not to tell them a lot of stuff about Grung. So, they just see, because, like, this person is kind of slow. Like, they're all pretty slow, and they could never get there. Like, they're like, well, wizard's dead. Well, they had a good run. And then they just see Grung cast the jump spell. Hallelujah. It just didn't, like, go into wild magic. Like, they would have been kind of oofed. But, Grung casted the jump spell, and the Grung species, I think, has like 25 feet of like just a standard jump, like jump forward base, which is kind of like good because they can just jump 25 feet forward. But with jump, it triples that up to 75 feet. So Grung got like moved up a couple feet and then just boom, kind of just like they just jumped and just started flying pretty much. And the party's like, huh? And the wizard was just staring at this hobgoblin, just like, what am I supposed to do? And the person just sees Grung absolutely just like a bullet just smack into the hobgoblin. And the Grung species, when they come in physical contact with something, gets poisoned. And because Grung came in like a missile, not only did the hobgoblin take like bludgeoning damage from Grung coming at it like a missile, but also poison damage, which then weakened it. And then, combining with that and Grung hitting it with a stick and the wizard shooting a fireball at it, they took out the hobgoblin pretty quick. Now, I didn't really want the hobgoblin to like kill it. I was just like, I'm gonna teach this person not to try and stay behind by themselves. And, now they actually, do some more strategy, but yeah, that was more of a thing. So, then, realizing they emptied that out, they did want to get their XP and rest, but I was like, no. And then they continued. And, the wizard being as they are, decided to do a bit of a scouting with the familiar, because, they're being strategic and stuff. So they use this scout, and what they see is this giant wooden, like, boat, kind of like a caravan. Is that a wooden boat, like, big one? Just kind of sitting there in the cave, and a bunch of logs and stuff, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. And they see behind it, like, a giant dam of water. They're like, cool. So, they had the giant idea, there's a bunch of goblins on that. There's a bunch of scary weapons. We're just going to not have to fight it. Now, so the wizard told me that they can equip a familiar with like one spell, and like they could use it once. So what they did is they got an owl to fly at the top of the cave, shoot a fireball down, and then run. Not fly, no. They specifically told me that once the owl shoots the fireball at the wooden boat, they wanted to land and start running with its two legs. Now, I called them all stupid, and then proceeded to have the owl get absolutely destroyed by a ballista shot. Fun fact, they did not learn their lesson. They did it again and just continued hitting the one ship with a fireball. And then they're like, huh, look at this stupid ship. We're just gonna catch it on fire. They can't do anything, stupid goblins. Hey, I'm a... And then this person's like, hey, I'm a goblin. Cool. Ooh, cool. We didn't ask. So they think they're all clever, and then they realize the goblins in the back are going to break the dam, which is going to, release a lot of water, because it's a dam. And they're like, huh, that's not good. So, I thought, they were like trying to get on the boat, or like maybe trying to like start floating or something, like maybe find something that they could like float on. So once they see the water rushing, they see the boat pick up and like start coming towards them. Now, I thought this was going to be a pretty cool, like subterranean like boat battle, like kind of like how the Coliseum could be filled up with water. I thought it was going to be something cool like that. Nope. Good thing this person, because they're a water genasi, just gets the ability to control water, So what they did was they just turned the water current backwards, pushing the ship back into the cave, causing all the water to just stay there and just continue filling up as if, there were a solid wall. So literally they just kind of stood there staring at this ship getting crushed into the ceiling as a bunch of goblins just died. And they're like, huh, we're so clever. And I'm like, all that planning. Like, yes, Cridium. Look at our magnificent strategies. I'm like, please, it was supposed to be cool. Ooh, look, the goblins, they're dying. Make sure you're writing this down for XP. No. So then, they decided to do a bit of more scouting. So, the wizard summons in an octopus to, like, go scout around in the water and decide to give it, like, I think shocking grasp. So pretty much if anything got near it, it would just tase the entirety of the water. I thought it was pretty funny. So the octopus goes in, and they notice a small metal door. And they're like, huh, strange, metal door. So they go look at it, and they manage to like poke a hole into like the keyhole, and they just kind of look in. And then they see two hobgoblins and a goblin shaman just kind of standing there, staring at the door in fear. And because the octopi can just fit through anything, they try to tell me, alright, now, with this octopus, have it squeeze through the keyhole and slowly start, like, lock-picking the lock. I'm like, you gotta roll pretty high for that. Does a 20 work? I'm like, And then I described that the hobgoblins were just staring at the door in fear as this stupid squid, octopus was just like, hey, I'm gonna unlock the door. No, please don't unlock the door. The door is being unlocked. So as soon as they see the shaman dive through a trap door. Actually, no, they just see the shaman just disappear. And then one of the hobgoblins tried to get to the door to keep it shut, and the door just like slammed open with such force due to how much water was behind it. The hobgoblin got turned to paste immediately. And then the other hobgoblin literally just died upon impact of how much water pressure just went boom. And like, the entirety of the room is just gone, and they're like, huh, where's that goblin shaman's body? I'm like, oh yeah, no, the goblin shaman's not there. Okay. Then, after doing an investigation, they notice a trap door. The octopus tries to like get onto the trap door and remove it, but it's not strong enough. So the wizard calls for Grung to get in there and help. Grung, being the happy-go-getter he is and being able to breathe underwater, it's just like, cool, Grung go help now because Grung like cool people. You cool, you do cool thing, Grung like you. He goes in, helps the squid with a thing. Now, see, these players, they're pretty smart, they know what they're talking about, they're pretty good at role-playing, and, they know how to solve problems. They know how to, they know how to solve problems, they just don't know, how to think of the outcomes. So, they open up this gate, and, I don't know how they didn't think of this, but, you viewers can just guess it on your own. What happens when you take a full sink and you let the drainer out? Water gets sucked down, right? Because, it's now going into an empty space and it's dragging everything near it down, you've seen a sink empty and a bathtub empty. the octopus manages to stick to the floor, and then they just see Grung get violently sucked down the hole at like Mach 10. So like they're like, huh, we're so smart, we're just gonna open up this. Grung, no! And a Polygon, being the most serious character, well not, yeah, being like the most like scary character there. Please tell me I'm recording. Alright, I am recording. Was just like, you guys better get Grung, and you better hope he's not dead, or I'm murder hoboing all of you. And they're like, okay, we need to get Grung. So, after a while of just sitting there, they, like, since the water's going down, you know, they just see the cave slowly, empty. So the water Dynasty decides to, like, let more water out by just, like, opening up the cave a little, and letting all the water out. So, like, you know, eventually the cave, while wet, is empty. They find a few trinkets in the thing, like a painting of the farmer and a few knickknacks, like, you know, maybe like a couple of things of gold, yada yada. And they just follow down the ladder, and they all manage, because, you know, this is it's a metal ladder, you know, it's wet, it's all slippery, because, you know, like slime and stuff now. And, you know, they all managed to do I think it was a dexterity check. They all managed to get down the ladder, you know, safely. And they're like, okay, is everyone here? Oh, wait, no, Polygon's not here. Hey, Polygon, you coming down? And they just hear metal going as the Polygon slipped and just absolutely ate the dust. Of course, they're not dead because, you know, they're still, yeah. So yeah, that was a pretty hilarious thing. And they just see, like, a couple wrecked. It was like a tiny little dock, you know. It's kind of like a little thing, you know, like where the small boats could be. And they just see this small wrecked boat and then like a couple of rooms. And then, after doing an investigation check, they find inside of the boat a dead goblin with a captain's hat. I swear it took them like 30 minutes of arguing, in-game and out-of-game, who got the pirate hat. Like, it just boggles my mind. And then they got out of the ship and found on the ground Grung's little staff, and they're like, ooh, not good. So then they look out and they just see this like tiny little wooden box ship just kind of like going around. They're like, oh, shaman disappear into trapdoor. Grung also disappear. Ship, goblin ship. Grung must be on that ship. We must free Grung. So then they just managed to find a small little rowboat. I'm like, they're never gonna catch up to this ship. The ship's too fast. Until the wizard told me, oh yeah, can I just tie the octopus to it and just have like the octopus go like a propeller? And I'm like, anyway, they got up to the ship. They then proceeded to throw the octopus onto the ship like literally just like a grappling hook. Like literally just, like now they just couldn't get like loose because, you know, the octopus was stuck to the ship and the octopus was tied to their boat. So the goblin hops on top of the boat. I think he went a artillerist? It's the artificer subclass that can like place down turrets and stuff. I don't know by memory. He places a flamethrower. Now, of course, this makes a lot of noise, seeing as he's now just like banging his feet on the thing. So one of the goblins, like a small goblin, opens up a trap door on top, looks, and the flamethrower just auto locks to the guy and just sets it on, like, just shoots fire. Except he failed to realize, boat, wood, flamethrower, fire, boat on now. So now the entire boat's on fire, and he's like, ooh, not good. So now we just have this epic, like, fighting melee thing. And, then the Warlock decides, you know, let's use Eldritch Blast, because I'm a Warlock, and I'm going to use Eldritch Blast. Uses Eldritch Blast, blast multiple hosts into the boat, for now they just, like, now the party can just see good into the boat. They can see a shaman, 3 little goblins with spears, and, like, some wacky blue headbands, and they're going, yeah! Let's see, 3, like, almost, like, naked women on the floor, scared, and then tied up into a chair, Grung. And they're like, Grung, forget about the captured women. We are here for Grung. they didn't proceed to like get into an epic melee battle, and then I proceeded to show the artificer something about the goblin shamans, which is if they're attacked, they can just transfer the damage into a goblin nearby. So every time they tried to attack the goblin shaman, they just were attacking the player, and it was overly funny because they went to slash at a sword, and then instead of the goblin shaman being hit by the sword, the artificer would be like, and they're like, what? Until they realize it, and they just like move far away, and I'm like, darn. And so it's all going fine and dandy. They killed the 3 goblins. Well, no, they killed 2 of the goblins, and they're like, "All right, goblin shaman, it's time to die." I forgot what they did, but something created a huge like blast of force. Either they caused an explosion via spell or something, but all I remember is that they caused a huge like blast of energy. This blast of energy sent pretty much the entire boat into smithereens, and they just see off in the distance the goblin shaman flying with another goblin in hand. They're like, he's going to fall in the water, and then we can trace him down with this octopus. And then they see the goblin shaman, because like, I made the goblin shaman roll a dex save, and it rolled a nat 20. And because I'm a DM and like they've been getting at me, I decided to give it at them. So literally all they see is the goblin shaman put the other goblin on his feet. They hear surf's music out of nowhere as the goblin shaman just proceeds to ride the other goblin like a surfboard until they just can't see him. They're like, huh? How did he do that? I don't know. What do you mean no? And then they just stare and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to find that goblin later. Alright, so, and then they look around and they realize they're in the middle of water. And then they see the 3 like, and then they realize, wait, boat gone, people on boat, 3 female, or 3 women, and Grung tied up in chair, Grung at bottom of water. They momentarily forgot he could breathe underwater. They dive down, like, because he's a water genasi, he can breathe underwater. What the? Alright, yeah, a bit of a playlist issue. Like, for some reason the song I had it on got off of loop, and yeah, ho zoo. So, after seeing the thing, they went down and, the wizard, I think, uses, like, flying disc. I forgot exactly what it's called, but pretty much just summons a flying disc, and it has to say a certain amount of weight for them, so, the wizard can't just go up, get on the disc and just get flight, So they just put the females on that. Let's see, one of the 3 women that they saved from the boat was a female, another was like a elf, and another was like what seemed to be a human in like a green hoodie. Like the other ones were just wearing tags, this was like a green hoodie. And they're like, oh, alright, we'll do that later. First off, is Grung okay? The water genasi just appears above the water with the Grung. Grung is okay. Yay, Grung! Yay, Grung! And this whole like little doo-doo, and then they're like, alright, so we need to take these women, take them to the farmer, which should be in town. And they're just like, alright, so now where's the town? And then I just clear my throat, and then the water genasi realized that when he dived down, I told him the lines. Alright, so you get near to what used to be a lamp post, and you see a couple of carcasses in the difference, but you see Grung at the bottom. And then after I clear my throat, he's like, wait. He dives back underwater and sees the entirety of the town just gone, just flooded. Like the entire town, which is bustling with life, underwater. Bam, new lake. Town more like lake. And then they're just all staring at each other like, whoa. We messed up. We messed up. Yeah, you guys did mess up. The entire town's dead. And, let's see. Almost went stupid there. So, see, there's another thing which wasn't really. It was like a minor encounter with like a thing. Yeah, it was a minor encounter of like a thing. It's not really worth it. Pretty much the goblin's not cursed. Yada yada whole wazoo. Yeah, I'll explain more in the next episode. Well, haha. Anyway, so they just like, you know, going around the city seeing if they can find anything like food that's not busted or like any like remnants of survivors. Fun fact, they haven't found any survivors. And the water agency goes into the bar which he first saw. Like he looks, sees like the little sheep area, like reminiscences of the backflipping sheep. Then remembers that it's dead. I know it would be dead anyway. And then goes into the bar. Now he enters the bar, and what he sees is like a few like flooded carcasses just floating up on the ceiling. A strange like figure at a table, like with a death grip on something on the table. And then just like what seems to be a Warforged bartender just continuously cleaning something. So he walks up, leans onto the table, which is like, you know, there's water everywhere. Like the only people there is him because he's in real little water and then a Warforged. And there's like talking. He's like, so what's it to Shazoo? He's like, oh, hello. I am. What was his name? I really hope they remember the name. I'm gonna start taking notes. And the Warforged explains that everyone just kind of like up and at him for no reason. And then he was just like, See, the entire town is flooding. I was like, wait, what? How could that be? Long story short, the town is flooded. You haven't explained anything. Town is flooded. And you know, they begin conversing. And then the player moves on to the thing of like, so who's that guy? He points to the thing. He points to like the strange figure at the table. And the Warforged begin to like explain, oh, he's a bit of a quiet folk. He just sort of, oh, is my mic okay? I hope so. He kind of just appeared, started speaking to me in a language which I haven't heard, which is surprising seeing that I've been here for 200 years. And he's like, So he just appeared, asked for a drink. Well, I guess he asked for a drink. I just gave him a drink. I didn't know what he was saying. So like, do you know where he's from? No, I don't know where he's from. And then he was like, all right. He goes over to the carcass, and like he just sees like, you know, this old puffy jacket, like, you know, it's kind of made out of leather, got some fur, and then the person, like, you know, on the table, just has this weird helmet with a spike on it and an eagle. And he's like, that seems familiar. Familiar. And he's just like, I wish to speak into his look into his jacket. I'm like, alright, roll an investigation check. And he's like, alright. I forgot the exact roll. Let's just say like decently high, because like he managed to get in and retrieve a notebook which wasn't yet waterlogged. He made it like a small area of air with his like create water, what control water, whatever it is, a water genasi thing. I don't know. And like makes a small little area of air. Like I'm pretty sure eventually empties the entire bar bit. Anyway, so opens it up and it sees like just completely in this language he's like he doesn't know, and he's like, I can't read this. But he does manage to find a map which is akin to this, but with a very scribbled area over here. Wait, no. It's an area over here. Like, no. What he sees is like this like landmass with a line drawing to what he thinks is here. And he's like, that's interesting. He takes the thing to like a nearby flooded library, because, you know, the entire town is flooded, and manages to find an area of like this island here. And he's like piecing together, so wait, this map from the pocket and this map from the library don't add up, because the map from the library says this, and the map from his pocket, says there's something here. And he's like, but there's not something here. So he then like starts looking to see if there's any like past glaciers, like maybe hidden land masses. He couldn't find anything. And like he continues searching, and he's like, so that means I must go ask the Warforged something. He goes back to the Warforged and he's like, so can you like explain to me anything about this? And he's like, well, the only thing I can explain anything about is there has been like some strange there has been talk about a weird event. And you're like, weird event? Like, can you explain more? He's like, well, not really. we're pretty far away from where I've heard the event's location, but yeah, no, it appears something strange has happened to this land. I'm like, and he's just like, huh, well then, looks like I must show this information to his party. He goes back up to the rowboat. They've like found maybe a couple things of food, and like, you know, they've managed to like wake up like the 3 women. They've talked to them, and now they need to find the farmer. So, and like, you know, they discuss about the map, and then that's where that session ended. So, of course, I'll continue this with a video of us playing the session next time we do play it, which I'll see what I can do. But so this has been the Uni-lobster. I really hope that if you guys watch this, like maybe the 20 of you, maybe leave a like. I mean, you don't really have to, but I mean, so yeah, I would like to see you guys later. Yada.